Hey everybody, welcome to BCB Live. Sir Rick, Drive Safe Dave, and we are lucky today to have with us Tom McLeod from McLeod Software. Tom, let me tell you something. We're honored, privileged, and I want to give you a big kudos real quick because we have talked to your vendors. I've gone to your classes here. Man, what a phenomenal amount of work that went into this project right here, right? What a phenomenal job you've done in educating us and bringing in a lot of vendors. And I guess it's probably the first real event in since COVID, right?
You know, I've had several people tell me this is the first live event they've attended this year. So
I'm one. I'm one.
Too.
Hopefully we're getting things kicked off right. A lot of people are really anxious to get back out again and see people face to face, get more communication done. And thanks so much to a couple hundred people on my staff who put together a great program, in addition to, I think, over 100 of our customer companies that have been speakers and panelists to help us put on a great event, help make companies run better and move the industry forward.
Yeah, behind you've got to be just a group of wonderful people, right? Because you can't put this on obviously by yourself. You got to have folks like Nora and those folks that went in this, got this organized, dealt with late additions like ourselves to the show. Just a great job. Tom, I want to talk a little bit going into some of these vendors that you have, because Drive Safe Dave and I, we've had a pleasure of interviewing quite a few of them today. And I just want to tell you, it's amazing, first of all, the group that you have here, and they're focused on many of these customers here, these vendors here, on safety. And for BCB, the safest station in the nation, boy, safety is what we do. Tell us a little bit about your vendors, I guess. How do you choose who's going to partner with you?
Well, we've always held the philosophy to be open and easy to interface with, because we want to give our customers access to the most choices in the industry, products and services that are making it and that are necessary really for better operations. Mm-hmm. We want customers through our system to have access to those, keep it in one place, and have all the information integrated. So we look for that when we interface with vendors. Thankfully, we've got over 55 vendors exhibiting on the floor today. We work hard to come up with a great exhibition, because many of our customers that come to this event don't attend any other national event where there's a similar show floor. But it also gives our customers a chance to talk to vendors that have already got interfaces in place, can be up and running pretty quickly, and lets them save a whole lot of time, because you can talk to a lot of people just in one place and learn a tremendous amount just in a couple of days. So in terms of safety, boy, that's become a tremendous issue. Many of the national organizations and the state associations have been great proponents and places to find better ways and better processes to incorporate safety throughout the trucking company. And we work to help get the word out on safety and the emphasis that trucking companies place on safety. And we're seeing more opportunity these days from companies that are gathering more information via the camera systems, via information coming from the engine, and looking for more and better ways to put that together with the number of miles the driver's getting, who's being the most productive. Combine all that information into a way that lets the company see who's the safe driver and put them in position to coach the ones that need to be coached up.
Yeah, that data is so critical in everything we use today, from driver safety to how we run the business, to how a trucking company runs their business. Data is so important. And let me tell you something, what we have on the McLeod software, and I'll just tell you, I'm a McLeod user, I'm a McLeod lover, love the software because the data and the easiness that you can read it and make business decisions is there. So there's no doubt that you're at what, 580-ish employees, 600 employees?
540 employees today.
Sure.
That's right. And over 1,100 active transportation companies running our software product.
That's amazing.
The market has been great to us. We're so appreciative and working very hard to continue to make improvements and add features and capability because our customers, their customers are asking for so much more. Expectations are very high these days, and it's our privilege to be the technology partner for so many companies.
Yeah, and that's really, at the end of the day, it's a technology business. We say trucking back 15 years ago was a trucking business. It's a technology business today. All the way from a driver to the customers to the company, if you're not using technology to improve your business. And we saw that today and yesterday from the vendors that are here. My God, how technology has just jumped into this market. These folks that are here, they're all IT. They're all, what do we call them now? They're scientists. What do we call them? Data scientists. Data scientists. Where did that even come from? But
yeah, look at the industry today, and with the advent of the ELD and it pushing its way into the cab, right, and being mandated that electronic logging device be in there, then it has grown ever more prevalent in so many ways, in so many different areas, right? And you've integrated it. There's so many vendors here. I've shook so many people's hands and looked at so many different vendors that have great ideas on how to utilize that information that has, I believe, truly starting to come from forcing that data in from the cab, right? We're forcing that data right there with just something as simple as a logbook. And then all of this stuff has grown from it in that respect.
Yeah, I think it's remarkable the amount of innovation that's continued to occur. We really thought that after December 2018, which was the deadline for the ELD mandate,
right,
that it'd be game over. There'd be only some nominal replacement business going on for the units for electronic communication. But instead, that seemed to be the opening bell of this massive influx of new vendors and new ideas and new technology, and the competition seems to have tripled. We've got several new vendors at this meeting, that weren't there 2 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
Who have gained significant market share. And the current players have continued to innovate and make acquisitions. So a lot of room still to run from the technology and safety standpoint there on the mobile side.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Tom, I want to go into the market as we see it today. We have a lot of drivers out here that watch this show that we talk to that, in my life and Dave, in your life, we've never seen anything like this.
Ever. I've never even heard
a
of
market
anything
that's this crazy that there's not enough trucks. There's too much freight. Rejections are going up and down. The rates are going up and down. Customers, shippers don't know what to think anymore. But how come I'm paying so much money? Obviously, we have to give them that data to back this up. But Tom, what do you? You see a market today. Have you seen anything like this from a data perspective, or that shows the fluctuations in rates and rejections and loads being shipped out that you see today?
Well, not in modern history being post-1980 when transportation deregulation occurred. Has there ever been this kind of volatile market in terms of capacity and freight rates? And really the capacity is constrained. A lot of it because of the COVID crisis, people exiting the job market, and there being fewer workers. Now, in 2018, I said this is the year that trucking companies have been waiting for since 1980.
Yep.
Up to that point, it was, that was the unprecedented year. Freight rates got to where they really needed to be for, trucking companies to get paid for what they're doing. We saw, driver pay increases. But it was a relatively stable market, and in fact, freight continued to grow into 2019, but the companies were able to expand, and it actually felt like a softer year. With the COVID situation and the capacity being constrained to the point that it is now, it's really created stress and strain on the whole market. The transportation, trucking companies themselves, trying to figure out which freight to take, what's safe to take, and what's desirable to take, and the shippers trying to figure out, who's making enough stuff for me to, stay in business, and then how do I get it from here to there? Where can I find capacity? So it's really wild and crazy.
It's crazy, and I think today when you look at your software, if you're out there looking for software today, you've got to take that into play. You got to take into play, the analytics that come with your software when you're making that choice. Again, what we have here with the McLeod Software is analytics for your lane analysis, analytics for revenue per the truck. There's analytics for anything, detention modules. modules, collecting money. And Tom, you said it day one, and I'm going to talk about, I'm a big believer in the detention module. Because let me tell you something, if it's only 15 minutes, you need to charge for that 15 minutes. The detention module takes it out of your hands, right? Takes it out of the dispatcher's hands, and it lets the computer do the bad work, that, well, 15 minutes, yes, I need my $25, right? It's money that your shippers, and they will pay. And so the technology behind that, actually, it blew me away when we went with it. So it was a module that we went with that said, you mean to tell me that this thing can send an email to whoever needs an email? And because as humans, you feel like sometimes you owe somebody. Well, I was late last time, so I can't. It's only 30 minutes. I won't charge them for that. The computer takes that out of their hands, and it does. Whoever that shipper needs you to call, an email says, I'm there, you're in detention. It can communicate the whole thing that a human can't do. The greatest thing I ever saw from you was the detention module. Big fan of that because it was an immediate cash increase into the company that you weren't collecting. You weren't billing out for it even.
You weren't even working on it. No. Because by the way, that free 2-hour giveaway, that was being applied everywhere because everybody thought 2 hours, and then 2 hours ran to 3, and 3 hours ran to 4, and it just came, and it just piled on. Hey, so we talk about the technology, and we've seen a lot of stuff in the news lately with the Colonial Pipeline. We've seen a lot of stuff going on with these attacks and stuff like that. And you are the king of the software world. What is that? What are those challenges to you? What does that bring to you when you see that in the news?
Well, we can talk about the cybersecurity. I will just get back with the detention module. For us, that's really about keeping the truck moving. And that's about the driver's compensation, getting the drivers paid.
Absolutely.
And if the customer knows you're going to charge them for the truck sitting there, they're more likely to keep it moving
all day.
And at the same time, if they are going to keep it sitting there, get the driver paid.
Yeah.
It's all about really properly compensating the drivers. In terms of security and the headlines we're seeing, those are going to continue. Unfortunately, very difficult to prevent all of the ways that the bad guys who are constantly working on getting better. Hard to keep them out, and it's expensive. Our company, technology company, we've got to divert resources that we could otherwise use towards advancing the product, just on playing defense. The endpoint monitoring software, live monitoring of the systems that we're hosting, is constant state of diligence. Every company everywhere needs to train their employees on cybersecurity awareness, because the emails that come in phishing for you to click on a malicious link or a malicious attachment, which will then implant itself and then can bring in the bad guys who can steal your data or encrypt your information and hold you ransom. That's what happened at Colonial Pipeline. They had a lot of good defenses, but they had one old Microsoft Exchange server that they were continuing to use for a legacy application, and it hadn't gotten the security updates. That's how they got in, able to encrypt the whole network.
Unbelievable.
And that's typically the way that works. And as in other cases, anybody from the Apple computer to the SolarWinds event to instances at the federal government, if the bad guys want in bad enough, they're going to get in.
Yeah, they're not going to stop.
They're going to kick the front door open, aren't they?
At one point, we were seeing, we've got 1,100 companies running our software product. We were seeing an average of one a week go down with ransomware. I mean, it's just been tremendous. So we've really launched great educational programs. We've had webinars and seminars, and we have seen a reduction in that through better practices. But there's still no 100% guarantee anywhere, and the best advice is to stay educated, stay up to date on the latest techniques. That's everything from virus scanning software for your desktops to, again, as I mentioned, the endpoint protection software and monitoring of your networks, making backups that are taken off the network on a daily basis, and staying up to speed.
So Tom, you said something in there, and you were talking earlier about training us, training folks on the emails, on those emails that come in on that. And you said something in day one that really resonated with me as well. And I think as we look at all the vendors that we have out here, as we try to find ways to make us more, to optimize our systems a little bit better, optimize our operations a little better. I think the one thing that it's one of the big things I took out of this early day one is we've also, as trucking industries, in what we're doing, we've got to spend more time on having people that understand the software, that train. And you mentioned trainers, and I'm a big believer, I agree 100%, Drive Safe Dave, gone are the days when you can have, when you dispatch, also train him or her on how to use this. Those are gone. At some point, you grow to the size that you are, and now you've got to train on this software because, Tom, what you do here and what your team does is, man, there's so many changes, and you lose out on them if somebody's not engaged with McLeod Software.
Well, we continue to add features, and sometimes I'll say to the folks coming for training on our foundation training class that we continue to add feature after feature, between 50 and 100 new features each year, but people don't learn any faster than they used to. When all they have was typewriters.
No, I don't.
Some of those initial installations 30 years ago, we'd spend 2 hours just figuring out how to load the paper and the freight bills and the printer. That was part of the training program. We're way beyond that at this point, but so many more features. And what you'll find is if you don't establish your process and putting somebody in charge of holding everybody accountable, that every person will use the system in a different way, and therefore you won't be able to rely on the information because you don't know who put this load in, because they do it differently, and then people will be keeping their cheat sheets, legal pad, or separate spreadsheet or whiteboard. My goodness. So we've seen tremendous results from the companies that have appointed a business process improvement director or training director, somebody that identifies advanced features that aren't being incorporated, comes up with the process and the best ways to use that for a particular operation, trains everybody on it, gets everybody using it the same way, and it makes night and day difference in the operations of the companies that have employed that practice.
Tom, we have about 3 minutes to go on this, and as an entrepreneur, and there's many entrepreneurs that out there, independent contractors, you're an entrepreneur at that point. I would like to just hear, from day one to where you are today, what are some of the things you've learned, or what are some of the successes you've had through, we talked earlier about, when you're younger, right? You have go charge, we have that little thing inside of us.
Oh yeah,
and
not
as you're 50,
to fail. Not afraid to fail.
You get a little older, you're like, what the heck was I thinking on that?
Absolutely. Sometimes I say young kids are for young people. All these people waiting, getting married late, and then having, babies in their 40s. I don't know where they get the energy. Thankfully, I was able to start into business at a much younger age when I did have a lot more energy, and also when I was kind of ignorant of the threats, some of the dangers that really could have tipped over and clobbered me, knocked me flat. But by just being able to focus on the work that was in front of me, worked very hard and scrambled to reach each opportunity at the next phase, and you just focus on that next hill. Where's our next opportunity? You do have a long-term goal, and a focus that allows you to have enough energy to reach that one goal. For us, it was operations for the truckload carrier. We didn't try to widen the scope to try and be everything to everybody. And we had great customers over the years that kept us in that niche and helped pushing us forward with the right features that over time helped us to acquire even more customers. And that's the beauty of software. If you can have more, sell more copies, then you can do more development because your customers, they're going to want more in a year or two. And if you can't keep the development train going, you won't be there for long. But anyway, I'd say you got to start when you have enough energy to do it, and then don't worry about the specters and ghosts and nightmares that could be all around working against you. Just get done what you have to do today, and then one thing will lead to another.
Man, well, thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate that, and it goes to what you're doing when you're out there driving, right? Stay focused on what you're doing. You know, you got to somehow take those distractions that you have out there on the road. You got to learn to put those aside so you can stay focused on your safety, right? Protecting life, making sure that you get home, making sure my wife gets home safe, my kids, your kids, our friends and families get home safe. What you do is it's so stinking important. You know you're our heroes. It's Driver Appreciation Week. Hey, from all of us here, we want to say thank you for what you're doing. Keep it up. Stay strong. Keep your hands washed. Keep your bubble secure still. We need you out there. Continue to be our heroes. We're so thankful for what you do. Continue to watch us here at BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation. We'll be back to you in about 15 minutes.